I call the Honourable Member Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair. He mihi nui ki te whānui o Te Paramata. Just want to talk about the title and the commencement of this bill. And although we're supporting it, we have to go on the record with our deep concerns about the underlying discrimination that is also being perpetuated by this bill. So the title is Budget Measures Financial Support for Newborn Children Bill. But really, it's newborn children of good parents. Bad babies, you can forget about getting any help. Because it's all about the good babies, not the bad babies. The babies who are allowed to have financial support from the collective taxpayer contribution, and the babies who can go without because they are not okay. It's interesting when you're thinking about this title, is that poverty is referred to very clearly in the regulatory impact statement, and I'll quote, poverty is one of the greatest risks to children's health and development. So it would be logical, given the title of the bill, to make sure that all of the smallest and particularly the poorest children who are at the greatest risk would get some relief. So it's very confusing to those of us who thought parental tax credit, for example, meant all parents and all babies, that some babies get it and some babies don't. Because I don't think the public of this country actually want us to discriminate against the babies. Now, there's if one wants to listen to talkback and hear the hate speech against beneficiary families, it's an occupation that won't do us any good psychologically, but it's a way in which people vent their own frustration about low wages in this country by scapegoating beneficiary families. But that's not what the Parliament should be doing. In the title of this bill, we should be saying that this is support for all newborn children. That's what's missing from the title of this bill. Financial support for all newborn children without discrimination. Because we don't say that in the title. What we're doing is saying, hey, welcome to Victorian England. We will provide charity for the good people who are grateful or who are lucky enough to have a job. But everyone else who's got newborns, forget about them. They can lie in the gutter, which is what happened to many of the Victorian babies, actually. But we would presume in the 21st century that there'd be more courage, and this actually is a failure of courage in the title. It should be clear that we support all our children and all our babies, and the title is completely perverse to create inequality and poverty while claiming the bill to be a financial support for newborn children bill. It's a discrimination. And it is actually disturbing and perverse to see this happening, because we believe that this was a wasted opportunity to actually support the people and their babies who are most in need. I've been this week touring schools, DSL1 schools, talking to principals about families and their newborns. And during the families and newborns discussion, they have said that the most important thing is for those newborn children to get what they need when they're the most vulnerable.
Order.
If they don't get what is needed, then they are seen, by the time they reach school, they are already at a disadvantage. So why would a budget bill called Support for Newborn Children Create Disadvantage, which is going to be manifest very soon in those small people's lives? It's simply not acceptable. It is not a fairer society, and it is not what most people expect us to do in this House. It's disturbing. Further to the commencement, well, this is urgency. I'll tell you what's urgent. Child poverty is urgent. Newborn babies of beneficiary families urgently need support. There is no margin for those people. For some of those mothers, it's the most urgent experience they've ever had, and they urgently need our support. For those who are less in need but who will benefit from this bill, and that's good, they're not going to get it till 2015. So this is not urgency, is it? This is not This is election year, but it ain't urgency. Why don't we send the bill to the Select Committee and have the conversation about why the bad babies of the poor are not going to get anything? That's what I'd like to have a discussion about, and I think there are many, many people and organisations who would like to hold the government to account through the Select Committee process on this very issue. I'm proud to be a member of the Green Party because we have never discriminated. We have always supported, through our support for the court case that Child Poverty Action Group took, that the in-work tax credit should be extended to beneficiary families and their babies.
I'm going to call the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. And I think there are two issues which we're currently debating. And the first is